Nandana Brajachanuranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Bala Girivara Dhari Gopijana Bala Girivara Dhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranja Jasodanandana Brajajanaranja Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Astatarasata Sisi Madas Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. I'm seeing multiple personalities here that I haven't seen in a long time. Welcome. Gitanagari Dham, celebrated place, long, wonderful history, and here we are. And a wonderful topic, Srimad Bhagavatam. Variety of speakers, according to inspirations they have for hearing, remembering, discussing, glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. Quite a range of topics. It's a nice theme, so I wanted to speak something about the theme. The verse that I wanted to speak on this evening is specific to this. After Krishna departed, Krishna's departure is an interesting, sad, our acharyas describe as not something there's a lot discussed about, because Shukadeva Goswami was hard-pressed to speak much about it. And Vaishnavas don't write much about it because it's painful. there's pain, there's spiritual pain. There's a very nice statement made by Ramananda Roy to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in their talks by the Godavari River. The most painful thing, the only and most painful thing, is separation from a Vaishnava. What to speak of the object of love of a Vaishnava. So Krishna's departure was not a lot discussed about it in the Bhagavatam, but it's an important event, as was his appearance, his disappearance. We'll hear some more about it this evening. And shortly after his departure, another form or manifestation of Krishna appeared. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna, Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like the name of Krishna is Krishna, the deity form of Krishna is Krishna, the Bhagavatam is Krishna. And it's an accessible form of Krishna in this age of Kali. Most accessible. So we're going to be discussing that for our topic this weekend. Once upon a time, when I was a new devotee, living in temple, we in addition to reciting Srimad Bhagavatam class every day, there was, along with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 3 times, we recited this verse. We can say it together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So I think, at least before every class that I give, I'm going to encourage all of us to recite the verse together, because we'll be hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam again and again and again. The verse, focus verse, is 1.3.43. 1.3.43 in the Bhagavatam is the verse that inspired this first publication, second publication that Srila Prabhupada wrote but didn't get published, Light of the Bhagavat, for a visit that he never made to Japan to attend a conference that he was invited to, Light of the Bhagavat. It's a small book, but it's brilliant in its composition, and it gives what it promises, the light of the Bhagavat, in very poetic language. 10th canto, the autumn season, following the rainy season. Very nice publication. So this verse 1.3.43 is a response to one of the questions asked in Canto 1, Chapter 1. Just a little bit about the structure of the Bhagavatam. The first 3 chapters, one can say, is a summary of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other sections that one can say is a summary. This is one of them. Because in Chapter 1, there's 6 questions asked, as the painting shows, by the sages headed by Shonaka. He's that elderly sage in the front with the big long beard. And many other sages behind him. He's the spokesperson on behalf of them. The scene is the forest of Naimisharanya, and the speaker is Sutta. So Sutta is asked, question number 6, the last verse in chapter 1. Since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. To whom, not to what. The whom is the Bhagavatam. They've taken shelter. Religious principles have taken shelter unto the Srimad Bhagavatam. Whom? To whom? Person. So here's the verse. We can say this verse together also. We'll say it responsively. Krishne Swadhama Bhagate Dharma Jnana Dibhi Saha Tala Nashta Drisham Eyava Pranarko Dunoditaha. Say it one more time. Krishne Swadhamo Bhagate Dharma Jnana Dibhi Saha Kalo Nashtadrisham Esha Puranarko Dunoditaha. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. The BBT illustration is on the left here. That's Vyasadeva holding up a spotlight, big bright light, giving Krishna light through the light of the Bhagavat. In the dark behaviors at the bottom, that's the standard life in the age of Kali. Just poetic, something that I like very much about a way that Prabhupada described the Bhagavatam. At night, commonly, the sun sets in the west. The sun rises in the east, and there's a little bit of light. There are many urban places you can't appreciate like this, but Mayapur is a great place to appreciate. As the sun rises, it's the dark of night, and then there's a little illumination in the sky, a little, and that's the direction, in the easterly direction where the sun is going to rise. And then slowly, the light becomes a little brighter, a little brighter, a little brighter, and then, whoop, one can just see this large orange globe starting to appear. And as the large orange globe rises, it shrinks in its size and becomes more golden or yellowish. And then finally the sun appears, the sun rises reliably every day. And at the end of the day, generally the sun sets in the east. So Prabhupada described the setting of the sun of Krishna. Krishna likened to the sun. As the sun sets, shortly thereafter, it may be, the moon will rise on the eastern horizon. And in the case of the moon, the amount of light or illumination from the moon is less than the sun. But it gives lots of illumination compared to the stars. One can see one's way at night just from the light of the moon. One cannot see one's way at night by the light of the stars. So the metaphor is very appropriate. The rising of the moon, like Srimad Bhagavatam, is as brilliant as the sun. And Prabhupada's explanation is, the sun is very hot, and the moon is very soothing and cool. As brilliant as the sun, as soothing, as cool as the moon. When Krishna came, he killed demons. He did other things, but he killed demons, and that's the heat of the sun. Scorched the demoniac population, finished them. And he didn't complete his pastimes until they were finished. It's really nice. It's really nice. When Krishna finished killing the demons, he's in Dwaraka, and he's contemplating, although Lord Brahma came, visited him, spoke with him privately in Dwaraka, and with folded palms essentially said, the mission which we requested you to appear has now been fulfilled. The demoniac kings are completely finished from the face of the earth. If you so desire, you may now return to your abode. Not like Krishna needed a cue. He's omniscient, but the request was made and the gratitude was expressed, and if you so desire, you may return. So Krishna was considering, he is in Dwaraka, considering, yes, but there remains something more to be done. The something more to be done is the Yadu dynasty, because they're invincible. Two things. They're invincible. And over time, in my absence, their invincible power, no one can conquer them, and Kali Yuga will begin, and their powerfulness will be invincible, and they'll become degraded by the influence of Kali. So they have to be removed too. But who can remove them except themselves? So then he cooked up a plan that they could be removed. And that plan, we all know, the plan was the curse of the sages upon the entire Yadu dynasty for the behavior of some boys that were spoofing on the sages. The sages came to participate in karma kanda rituals. They're sages. Their interest is the supreme ultimate welfare. But they also engage in karma kanda rituals in a Krishna conscious manner for the upliftment of the Krishna consciousness, while at the same time providing the bountiful opulences of Dwaraka. And after they completed their yagyas, Vasudeva honored them, gave many, many gifts, and made an arrangement that a place not far away they could go to and take their meal and associate with one another So the boys went and spoofed, made a joke, pulled the leg of the sages, and the sages understood what was going on. Samba put a lump of iron, you know the story, under his cloth, and the other boy said, this lady is shy, she doesn't want to say, but we'll say, will the child that she's carrying be a boy or a girl? Wearing under a sari, as if a pregnant woman. The sages knew very well they were being made fun of or ridiculed by these boys. That lump of iron will bring the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty. So there. And then so many other things happened without all the sequence of events. Krishna sent the Yadu dynasty to Prabhas, which was a little distance away. They had to cross by boat to get to the mainland from Dwarka. And that's where Krishna departed. Also, after the annihilation of the Yadus by the Moshala Leela, they annihilated themselves. Krishna sat alone. Balaram departed first, and Krishna is sitting alone. So those persons who were annihilated were devas that had taken birth on earth at Vishnu's request, ostensibly to assist him in his pastimes, the destruction of the demons, but to give them the opportunity to associate with him in his pastimes, his Prakat Leela. Now that his Leela was going to become aprakat or unmanifest, they returned back to their stations from which they came. And Krishna is going to return back to his station from which he came. One of the classes we're going to conduct is the last words that Krishna spoke before he departed. He spoke to Uddhava. And then he departed. So when he departed, it was in Prabhas. In this verse, it mentions two, according to the commentaries of the Acharyas, two of the six opulences. No, it's not the same, the six bhagas of Bhagavan, but the two that are mentioned are Dharma and Jnana, etc. You see? Accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. The Acharya's commentary on that section of the verse is Krishna went to Prabhas. It was time for his departure. He departed along with his full six opulences, leaving behind him the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is him, not different than himself. The Bhagavatam is Krishna, mentioned before. Here it is again. Jiva Goswami wrote 6 Sandarbhas. The first of them is Tattva Sandarbha. There's 2 references in Tattva Sandarbha to this verse. And the first reference is where Srimad Bhagavatam and the form of Krishna are identical. He makes a reference from Shiva Purana, Vishnu Kanda section of Shiva Purana, where it says, just as Krishna is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, the Bhagavatam is also in full Satchit Ananda. They are identical. Just like that. He quotes the Sanskrit, and so the statement is in the Puranas. 2 statements in Padma Purana. One of them says it really emphatically. Know it for certain the Srimad Bhagavatam and the form of Krishna are identical, absolutely identical. Very, very strong. And in another section, long section, the Bhagavad Mahatmya section of Padma Purana, it describes the 12 cantos of the Bhagavatam, and each of the 12 cantos in pairs of 6 is the form of Krishna. One more time. The Bhagavatam and the form of Krishna are identical. And that's in Anucheda 20, then at 23, he says something quite similar, little different, but he says something I like very much. According to the process of Gyan, because the verse speaks of Krishna departed with Gyan and Dharma, etc., the process of Gyan, for one to become free from anarthas or unwanted things in the heart, in order to experience that self-realization in full through the process of Gyan, then the anarthas have to be completely removed. However, the bhakti process is such that the anarthas don't have to be completely removed, because the power of bhakti is so great, so much greater than the power of Gyan, that even they're not completely removed. Then one can experience, one can engage oneself in meditation on the Supreme Lord and envision the Supreme Lord. Bhakti is so powerful. Where's Srimad Bhagavatam? Is there a Bhagavatam in the Canto 1? Can someone find Canto 1 and bring Canto 1? Just sit down. They know, they visit here regularly. I wanted to read Prabhupada's BBT commentary. It's short. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also made commentary expressing the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 111 Bhagavatam. He describes, there's a very nice scene. The place, yeah. Find the verse. 1:343. The place where Krishna appeared, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, it's the Mathura, the appearance mountain. The sun rises from the appearance mountain, and the sun sets at Prabhas, the disappearance mountain. That's his language. And shortly after Krishna departs, this Srimad Bhagavatam arises, as brilliant as the sun. And his indication is, brilliant as the sun means all of the other scriptures, Puranas and everything else, is insufficient to illumine. Just like there's so many stars in the sky, they also give light. Same light as the sun, but they're not as brilliant as the sun. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the other scriptures without Srimad Bhagavatam as their basis and support can't illumine everything sufficiently. The Bhagavatam is an essential text. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Very nice. Now, naturally, they like Srimad Bhagavatam, so they want to glorify, but not exaggeration glorification. It's just real glorification and their realizations and their understanding of these direct statements of the scripture. Here's Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Sri Krishna has his eternal dham, or abode, where he eternally enjoys himself and his eternal associates and paraphernalia, and his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc. are not therefore creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to reestablish codes of religion, which are directly enacted by him. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, our relation with him, and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. The conditioned souls, who are entrapped by the material energy, hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals, engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They're mostly engaged in sense enjoyment, under the pretension of religion, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of the animals. Phew. This is introductory literature, by the way, folks. When he wrote it sitting in Radha Damodar Temple to bring to America to tell people, take that, royal addition of animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. But they're very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. They can risk their lives to become a dog or hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. He's got his gloves off. He's hitting bare-fisted. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga and returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religion. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Sri Vyas through Narada to compile the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus, both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a summum bonum of life, Lord Sri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as a direct representation of Lord Krishna. Direct representation of is the same as himself. I mean, there's a difference, obviously, the form and the book, the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat, but at the same time, they're not different. The representative is like Prabhupada gives this example. When an ambassador goes to a foreign country, sometimes ambassadors do that, they're received, depends upon the country they're visiting, they're received with dignity. They're received as if this is the country personified coming. You know, the president or prime minister or the head of state, he's an ambassador, but he's treated with all dignity. Gifts may be given to the ambassador. The gifts don't belong to the ambassador. The gift belongs to the country that he's representing. So the Bhagavatam is the representation of, but not different from. So in this age of Kali, Krishna has departed, but Krishna can be taken shelter of. The refuge in this age of Kali, that's the theme. Refuge or shelter. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on two of the messages that Jiva Goswami presents in his commentary on this verse. There's a reference just before Krishna departs, he speaks to Uddhava, and then Krishna speaks to Daruka. Who's Daruka? There's different Darukas, but the Daruka that he speaks to is his chariot driver, Krishna's chariot driver. So Krishna says to Daruka, go back to Dwarka and please inform the residents of Dwarka that I'm going to depart. And when I depart, shortly after I depart, the whole city of Dwarka is going to go underwater. So they have to leave Dwarka, otherwise they're drowned. They have to leave. And Arjuna should take care of the queens and escort them to Hastinapur. And everybody else, vacate. So he gave him some service. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur refers to this verse, Daruka's response. It's like a yes, but it's painful yes. Just as on a moonless night, people are merged into darkness and cannot find their way, now I have lost sight of your lotus feet, my Lord. I have lost my vision, and I am wandering blindly in darkness. I cannot tell my direction, nor can I find any peace. So Krishna is the light by which one can see. I mean, it's the same as what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the two eyes of the Lord, the sun and the moon. So without the sun and the moon, you can't see. Without Krishna, I'm blind. I can't. Like a moonless night. The sun's gone, the moon's gone, moonless night. I can't see. I'm lost without you. Vishwanath points to this verse. And then similarly, he points to a statement made by Uddhava to Vidura. The statement made by Uddhava to Vidura comes in the 3rd canto, which is not chronological because Krishna's departure comes in the 11th canto, but in the 3rd canto, Krishna has departed because Krishna gave some service to Uddhava. Uddhava, because Krishna spoke at length, we'll hear some more as we go along. Krishna spoke at length in Dwaraka, Uddhava Gita. And Krishna gave some service to Uddhava. All these messages that I've given to you, you please take them to Badrinath. And because I didn't get a chance during my pastimes to visit Badrinath and give association to Narayan Rishi and their associates in their ashram. So you go as my representative, you carry all these messages and convey this to them. He hadn't left yet, but that was the service that he gave him. So he left, knowing that Krishna is going to depart, knowing intimately. He hadn't left yet, but it's Krishna's plan to leave. So he didn't get all the way to Badrinath. He doubled back. He couldn't take it. The absence, the separation from Krishna was too much to bear. So he came back and he found Krishna at Prabhas. And Krishna told him again. We'll hear the final words that Krishna spoke to Uddhava. It's really nice. And then he sent him again. I told you, take the messages that I've given you, the teachings, take them to the sages of Narayan Rishi. So he started again. And then Krishna's departure. He didn't observe Krishna's departure, but he knew it was separation. So on his way to Badrinath, who should he meet but Vidura? In fact, Krishna said, in time, in a short while, you'll meet Vidura. And when Vidura heard that from Uddhava, Vidura was honored. He was sad Krishna's departed. At the same time, he was very appreciating that just before Krishna departed, he thought of me. Mixed emotions. Intense mixed emotions. And Uddhava says the same thing to Vidura. My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna has set. And our house, our means the descendants of the Yadu dynasty, has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare? Again, the same metaphor, Krishna as the sun, and the sun has set. But then, as brilliant as the sun has risen. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. The reason for spending time on this topic with saying it again and again and again is purposeful. Repetition is sometimes necessary for clear understanding of a subject. And the subject is, it's the refuge for this age. It's like the holy name. The Srimad Bhagavatam is our opportunity to associate directly with Krishna. The deity form is a direct opportunity to associate with Krishna. These 5 most potent things that are mentioned by Rupa Goswami, direct association with Krishna. So the feeling that Uddhava is expressing here, that it's shared by Vidura, is his feeling of separation. But at the same time, Uddhava, is carrying Uddhava Gita. It's similar to, it's not the same, but it's quite similar to when Arjuna was sent by Yudhisthira to go to Dwarka because he also had a premonition Krishna is going to depart. Goes as the representative of us 5 brothers, go to Dwarka and assess the situation. He did. And he was gone a long time. And when he came back, he was reporting to Yudhisthira with a broken heart. But as he was recounting his exchanges with Krishna, he realized that the teachings that Krishna had given him during the Battle of Kurukshetra or in Bhagavad Gita and all of the other associations that Krishna had given him, Krishna was still with him. So he felt some mitigation, some relief from the grief of separation by remembering Krishna that way. Krishna gave remembrance of him that way. We're going to hear it again and again. Get accustomed to it. The hearing of the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is meant to give us solace and peace and direct association with Krishna. Here's some nice paintings. I like artwork. So here's the painting of Uddhava approaching Krishna when he, in Dwarka, when he knows that Krishna's plan is he's going to leave. And he's pleading with Krishna, please take me with you. Please take me with you. Don't leave me alone. Now there's some more casual paintings. Here's Uddhava has the same complexion as Krishna. When Uddhava was sent by Krishna to carry a message to the gopis, when the gopis saw Uddhava, they thought it was Krishna. Thought he was Krishna. Because they looked so much alike, complexion-wise and otherwise. And they were disappointed when it wasn't Krishna. So complexion-wise, very similar. Here's the friendship. Here's Uddhava's resting his hand on Krishna's raised leg. But very casual and friendly-like because they're intimate. As Arjuna and Krishna are intimate, even more intimate is Uddhava. No one is as intimate with Krishna as Uddhava in the royal assembly. So Krishna sent him after Uddhava Gita, carry these messages. He couldn't continue, so he came back. And there in each of these paintings it shows there's Maitreya, because Maitreya heard what Krishna said to Uddhava just before Krishna departed. We hear those words that Krishna spoke towards the end of this weekend. And he didn't, that there's not many verses like in the 11th canto where the Uddhava Gita is spoken, but a synopsis is presented, we hear. And this is meant to give light in this dark age of Kali. The entire message of Srimad Bhagavatam, the refuge in this dark age of Kali. As brilliant as the sun, as cooling as the moon. That's our Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so looking at the clock, it's time to end. Let's see if there's some discussion or comments.
Raj, I have a couple of questions. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste of water, I am the light of the sun, etc. So one can certainly perceive Krishna in these facets of material creation. And then here we're hearing that Krishna is the Srimad Bhagavatam. But there also seems to be a categorical difference between when Krishna says he is the Bhagavatam versus saying he is the taste and water, the light of the sun, etc. Could you comment on that?
Sure. There's the sun. In the reference that you made to Bhagavad Gita, this is opulences of the absolute. So in the opulences of the absolute, those are material opulences. Material opulences are an aspect of Krishna. And the opulence of the taste of water and the light of the sun and the moon are not the same as the fullness of the opulences of Bhagavan. Material opulences and spiritual opulences are not identical in all senses. They're of Krishna, but there's a distinction as well. That's my answer. You know, in one sense, what is there that's not? So, oh my dear Arjuna, what's the use of listing these so many opulences? Because, but the spark of my splendor, I'm pervading and supporting the universe. So, you know, every leaf on every tree is one of Krishna's opulences.
To follow up on that, so when we hear from Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion that Krishna has 64 qualities, can all of those qualities be experienced by the sincere bhakta as they humbly approach this?
As what? Experienced as?
As they humbly approach this transcendental literature.
As a what?
As they approach this transcendental literature of Bhagavatam, can they experience these 64 qualities that Rupa Goswami speaks about of Krishna?
Yeah, okay. So that's Puranarko. The fullness of the light is when Krishna appears. You're asking the same question, just in a different way. It's the same answer. There's material opulences and there's spiritual opulences. Both come from the same source, but they're not the same. They're opulences of the source, and they're not interchangeably identical.
My second question is...
I'm having a hard time with the sound system. Are you able to hear me okay?
Perfect.
Oh yeah? Okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Should I come closer? Or?
Yeah, maybe you could just... I'm sorry, folks. When you get old, something happens.
Can you hear better now, Mark?
Better, yeah.
So my second question is, our process is Bhagavad Dharma of hearing and chanting. My thoughts were going to some years ago in ILS Sangha in Mayapur, where some survey was done of how many people have read Prabhupada's books, and the results of the survey were not encouraging. And I recall you encouraging all of us repeatedly to read Prabhupada's books,
Yeah.
Take shelter of Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were going to, our process is hearing and chanting, yet when we take initiation, our vows seem to be limited to chanting 16 rounds and 4 regular principles, but no vow specifically on some kind of practice on a daily basis of hearing or reading Bhagavatam. So I was just wondering about that and what's the reason and
Many things can be said about what's the reason. One thing I can say about what's the reason is the one thing in this age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name. And from the chanting of the holy name, then some may be more inclined, some may be less inclined to read. But the core, the foundational core is chanting. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Keva Kalo. It's Hare Nama. Now, not different than the name is the form and the qualities and the pastimes. So the form, qualities, and pastimes are revealed through the name, and they're revealed through Scripture. So one leads to the other, but one is foundational for this age of Kali. So that's why the vow. And then, it's the teacher or guru or the Sangha of Vaishnavas that encourage reading, or the further forms of hearing and chanting. It's built into the system, but foundational is the chanting, which anyone can do. And a not very intellectually developed person can chant and achieve perfection. Therefore, the Acharya encourages reading, hearing, and chanting. This is our Bhagavad Dharma. It starts with the name. That's my response. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I have two questions. So at our level, Maharaj, how do we realize Krishna's personal presence? At our level, how do we realize Krishna's personal presence?
Krishna, if Krishna reveals, you can realize anything. How to? Krishna reveals.
So it is instructed that by following his instructions, like as you mentioned, Arjuna took shelter in his instruction, but he was very much lamenting. But how do we find that solace of his personal presence? By following.
You're asking the same question, and I give you the same answer.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, just.
Nice try.
And second question is, Maharaj, that like in the beginning, when we heard from Bhagavad Gita, in our beginning of Krishna consciousness, like Krishna is the taste of water, and all these opulences astonished us very, very much, and also humbled us that, we derive that this satisfaction that comes through Krishna, and our heart was filled with gratitude. But now we want to go one step forward toward Krishna. We want to realize more. Like more than this taste of water, and move forward. So I think I am asking again the same question.
Yeah. Take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our weekend together. Krishna, Krishna. Question up front here. Raise your hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a similar question, like how do I see
How to?
Bhagavatam as the ultimate refuge, even with the material problems?
By engaging in the process, you ask Jivana Jivana, he's already given us the answer. The process carries us beyond. We're limited, we're conditioned, we're covered, we're tiny, we're defective, we're broken, we're like not good candidates for perfection. Now what? Engage in the process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Engage in the process. And engage in the process in the association of those who are engaged in the process. Come to the Gita Nagar retreat on the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam as the refuge for the sage of Kali, and you get all the answers you need. Then comes, applying them. I'm not saying, not that you don't, but there's the answer to your question. You just apply. Engage in the hearing and chanting and cleansing and awakening, cleansing and awakening the dormant Krishna consciousness, and then continue. There's built into the schedule, there's the application or integration segments where things that we're hearing, how to integrate them and carry them in, not in your computer, but carrying them in your heart or your notebook or whatever, the mind, in your life. So make sure you attend those sections of our event, and then the how-to questions will be answered even further.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Can I ask second?
Your second question.
Yeah. Well, excuse my curiosity. I just wanted to find out, when is Bhagavatam considered arisen? When the Vyasadeva got realization? Is that when this got arisen? Or when it was spoken to Parikshit Maharaj or in Naimisharanya?
Well, when does the sun rise? It's gradual, isn't it? Since the sun rise, one can say, I don't know how they calculate, but when that little orange globe starts to, just the tip of the orange globe appears on the horizon, that's the sunrise, or the beginning of the sunrise. And then there's the whole globe above the horizon, and it's gotten a little bit smaller and a little bit brighter in color and so forth. Then that's when the sun has arisen. So it's in stages. So one can say the realization that what Narada's instruction to Vyasa to sit in trance and realize what he realized, which is within those verses from chapter 7, that's the Bhagavatam manifesting. A little boop. And then 18,000 verses. And then it's spoken.
Thank you.
And then it was spoken again. Sutta. Okay?
Thank you.
Guru Maharaj, we're aware of offenses towards the deity form of Krishna, towards Nama Prabhu, towards the Vaishnavas. Are there specific offenses in approaching this very personal form of Krishna? Srimad Bhagavatam?
I got about 40%. You're
Well-
speaking slowly too, but that he adjusted the speaker structure so that it's a little different. You're coming closer. Thank you. You're kind. Thank you.
Guru Maharaj, we're aware of the offenses
The offenses.
towards the deity form of Krishna,
Yeah.
towards Nama Prabhu,
Yeah.
towards the Vaishnavas.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there are offenses that we...
Okay. Got it. I'm unaware of a list, but it's the same list. No, the list of offenses to deity is not the same as the list of offenses to the name. But I've been studying this for the purpose of the Japa retreat of the Festival of Holy Name coming up. And here's a little explanation. The essence, there's other sources as well. The essence of offense is, well, it's apa radha. Apa radha. Radha means achieving the objective of something. Not radha, but radha. Apa radha means that it blocks the attainment of the objective of something. And being neglectful or inattentive or lacking, the lacking of respect for is the cause. So the lacking of respect for the scripture is the lacking of respect for the deity, the lacking of respect for the name, and it's the root behind the offense. And then the opposite is true. It's said again and again about the Bhagavad Gita and about Ramayana and about the Bhagavatam that one should approach the literature respectfully. Because respect leads to looking up and attentiveness, an open heart to receive from a merciful source, a great, grand, up there, respect-worthy source. So the essence of offense, aside from the list, is not having proper regard or respect. Therefore, offering respect before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto. So it's even in the court, just like when it's time for the deity worship or arti, the curtain opens, we pay obeisances. Now, after you pay, the curtain opens, you pay obeisances, you can make tons of offenses. And the essence of that offense is not having proper respect, which is a form of disrespect. Whether it's the name, the deity, or the scripture. And the difficulty is we're conditioned. So we see that which is not spiritual, not material to be material. And then we use our material acumen to assess, wait a minute, it says this, but how can it be this? Because my intelligence says it's that. So how can it be this? Then we quibble and minimize. So, it's not meant to be a blind follower, but it's not meant to be a disrespectful hearer either. If I don't understand, then I just keep hearing till I can understand. Respectfully. So that's the essence. Adara. Respect. Adarat, in the language of nectar of instruction. Adarat. Is that okay? You have something more, I can tell. And she's going to speak slowly. And
So Guru Maharaj, while Krishna and the Bhagavatam are non-different, there are also differences in how we
yeah, of
offer
course there are
respect.
differences.
So for example, when the deity curtain opens, we pay obeisances.
Yeah.
And Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam is in front of us, but it's not typical of us to
Pay obeisances. Well, we can be casual. And then we're not going to receive the fullness. And that lack of respect is a kind of disrespect. And so we're going to receive less. And it can get worse than casual. One more question, then we're going to end. Anyone else would like to say something? I know there's too many hands. We just do one. Kevala Bhakti.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had one comment and one question. My comment is when you mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are non-different, are absolutely the same, it kind of made me realize that initially I used to think Krishna is somewhere, why is Krishna not reciprocating for my prayers? But then now when you mentioned this point, it kind of dawned on me that because, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is already in my house. In the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm already hearing about Krishna, seeing Krishna. So he's already been reciprocating, just that I have not been realizing that fact.
We're a little covered, a little dull. Our intelligence is dull. Our perception capacity is similarly dull. But it doesn't reduce Krishna's presence. We're just dull. And that the dullness, I'm going to read something. The dullness has to do with the contaminations. The poetic language used by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in 111 Bhagavatam commentary is the totality of sins of a living entity is like clouds in the sky that cover the sun. The sun is bright with the clouds, without the clouds. But because of the contamination of our past misuse of free will, then we're covered. So the fullness we don't experience. We're just, but it doesn't change the absolute nature of the name, the form, the qualities, and the pastimes, which are all recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam. Go ahead, that was the comment.
So my question was, Maharaj, you mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam is also Satchidananda Vigraha.
That Srimad Bhagavatam is also...
It's also Satchidananda Vigraha.
Yes.
So, it's very obvious that it's eternal, it's full knowledge. But in terms of blissfulness,
Oh, yeah.
is it an effect on the reader, or is it an attribute, or
Oh, it's an attribute.
how do we interpret that was going to be my question.
You want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Krishna's pastimes are ecstatic. What's your favorite pastimes? I don't need an answer right now, but the pastimes, the exchanges of loving dealings between Krishna and his devotees, they're stimulations of ecstatic love. They themselves, they are ecstatic and they stimulate ecstasy within the soul. Because they're ecstatic, because they're ananda, that's the internal pleasure potency of Krishna. to the max. Not just, the Rasalila section of the Bhagavatam. It's even in the, anyway, the thread is throughout the whole of the Bhagavatam. The love of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna is right in the first canto. It's Mother Jasoda chasing after Krishna. And when Queen Kunti thinks of the love of Mother Jasoda and the love between the two of them, and Krishna's crying because the little stick in Mother Jasoda's hand, I'm bewildered. It's like, so if one meditates significantly on the message, there's ecstasy throughout. But it's gradual because different layers of understanding the nature of the Absolute Truth is necessary to get the fullness of the Absolute Truth. Okay, I'm going to end. Srila Prabhupada ki.